the very will of the people. Surely, you should forward that blame where it belongs.
Oh, that is all okay, Mr. Oswago, except that
because number one, we don't have even the means. We don't even have the means to stop these fellows from doing these things. If it is true, I'm now going by your word that it is them.
That's what
if some external agency, and let's give me time. If an external agency was responsible for these things, I have been amazed that you want to blame the IEBC instead of saying, let us interrogate more. Could it be true? And tell those fellows never interfere in elections again.
But Mr. Oswago, you know that is a fact that this is not the first time they would do that, nor would they do it in what we call national interest. National interest is privatized, is political. Is it rational for you to say that we should blame the NSIS? Of course we will blame them. But the responsibility for ensuring that that doesn't happen lies with you. In fact, there was a lot of speculation at that point that IEBC had been infiltrated by NSIS. And they are doctoring, fiddling with the systems, and that is why your system did not deliver according to expectations.
No, but I'm still going to one point, and I'm using your logic, because you are now telling me the intelligence infiltrated our system. I'm saying, supposing what you're saying is true, that they're using their resources to determine the outcome of an election. Surely that is a reasonable thing. I thought you people should be so angry and you'd be saying disband the NSIS or reform it instead of saying disband the IEBC. Surely.
We're making this point academic. The point that I think Mutegi was on was that we have reports that your systems were infiltrated. So in the spirit of making things better ahead of the next election, exactly. What are you doing to protect your systems? Several of our viewers have asked the same question. Is it true that your systems were shared with a political party? Because looking at a report by your communications manager, nowhere do you mention the failure of or the compromising of the integrity of your internet, your ICT system. So is this something that you're working to check for the future?
The Commission has not said our system was infiltrated by NSIS. Mm-hmm. But the Commission has said there were certain failures of certain systems in our place. And they were on a scale, and they were so well synchronized that we couldn't understand them at the time they occurred.
Okay.
If it happened that this was done by somebody else, what we'll do next time is just to ensure that we take all the possible preventive measures, all the possible precautionary measures that we as a Commission can take. But at the last, in the last analysis, Woodwork, there are things that the Commission, which we didn't do as well as we would have wanted. And I can cite them out for you. One is the electronic voter identification system didn't work as well as we wanted, and that is unfortunate.
You've told us that.
Then was the result transmission system.
You've told us
again,
that as well.
That was something else that didn't work well. But I want to say that on the scale of everything else, and I'm just asking you as a rational human being, look at the scale of the achievement of IEBC. Look at what we pulled through. You know, look at the number of elections that we did. The fact that we pulled all these things through. Look at that and put it on one side. Weigh it against all the other things that didn't go well.
Well, certainly some of our viewers agree. Alfred in Kileleshwa, let's call a spade a spade. The IEBC did the best they could in the time frame that they had, running 6 elections to go, and came out with a success rate that could not have affected the results or the winner or loser, or a runoff for that matter. Let's evaluate the mistakes and learn from them. Oswago and the IEBC, keep it up the good job as you look for ways to improve the future. My question is simple. Should electoral bodies quit office every time a popular candidate loses an election? The IEBC conducted itself overwhelmingly well. So there's certainly some support for the work that you did. Well, I could read you 3 text
I'll
messages
answer
which don't agree with that. Can Oswago tell us why they had to stop the results transmission, which was moving with a constant figure, and about this Kencall company, which apparently was also working for Jubilee, and that came from Musa in Kitale?
That's the one you just referred to.
Yeah.
You see, the Kencall issue is one of the things that Jaggi and David is saying, that maybe there was infiltration of the system.
Yeah.
And if that is proved to be true, that actually there is, we had an entity that is associated with a political party, and that that compromised our system, I think let us be rational and non-emotional. Let us look at this very dispassionately.
Okay, we're on extra
once we have
time,
established,
so
once we have established that that is so,
Yes.
then let's go to the source of it. First, did we know about it? Could we have known about it? If we didn't know and could not have known about it, but it happened, then let's say who is to be held responsible? I mean, it is time. Okay, we should. It's okay to get emotional. It's okay to get partisan. But I think this is our country. And
which is why we're having the conversation, because of course the IEBC, there calls for it to be disbanded. We need it to remain, but we also need to ensure that it's able to deliver elections with results that are accepted by all, whether they're winners or losers. Yeah, that's what we're discussing here. But you also have several of your temporary employees complaining that they haven't been paid.
Oh yeah, that's true. We had a lot of clerks, some of whom have not been paid, but this is because of budgetary problems in the Treasury. 2 weeks ago, we paid almost all the clerks, but there are security staff who have not been paid. We sent money, but somebody chose to pay the police and not pay the prison staff who came to help us. You are aware that as we're doing this election, we had 2 policemen in every police station, in every polling station, you know. And
so what are you saying to those who are writing to us saying that they've not been paid?
first, the vast majority who are not being paid a month ago have been paid 2 weeks ago, but there's still a component who will be paid when we get the allocation from the Treasury.
Which will happen when?
In the next 2 weeks or 1 month.
Tell us this.
But that is true. And also, I didn't come here to defend ourselves unnecessarily. That is another area where I don't think we did something well. That's something that we should have looked into. But it's not the only area. You know, we have lawyers who are demanding to be paid fees, but we have to hire lawyers because we are defendant in every single case. And you can't budget. For example, when you do a general election, you can't go to Treasury and say, in this, we are going to expect so many legal cases to give us $500,000. They'll say, where do you get it from? So some of these things you have to ask for money as it goes along. We couldn't have gone to Treasury and said, oh, there's going to be a presidential petition, and we would expect so much money. We couldn't know. But now that it happened, you say, we are having this petition, and this is the cost of it. So there are some of those areas where we look for money and pay.
During the Makueni senatorial by-election,
Yes.
Before the election took place, there was a problem with the Safaricom.
Yes.
What was it and how was it resolved?
Safaricom, and I came here to say the truth. I didn't come here to part the truth.
3 minutes left.
Safaricom wanted to participate in the election on certain conditions. And those conditions meant excluding some of our staff from being on the ground.
Meaning what?
As we were doing the general election for the March, Safaricom formed impressions or evaluated some of our fellows and decided this may not be good, this may not be that. So they said, when you go to Makueni, so-and-so may not be there. We decided, very well, we could exclude the individual. But the Commission still feels that the technology we are using in Makueni is our own. That should not be forgotten. It is the Commission that got this technology of result transmission. It's not Safaricom. We are only using Safaricom to transmit the results. And we use Safaricom over all these others. In short, I think the relation between the Commission and the Safaricom is one that we'll have to work on. We'll have to agree on boundaries, responsibilities. We have to agree that if there are overlaps, we correct them.
So we're winding up. Any final thoughts or questions, David?
You know, we didn't talk about the Two things. I must be charitable in a nutshell as we come to our
Thank you.
close of this show. That IEBC, of course, worked within a very close and terrible timelines created by the legislation and that kept
and the political
being
parties
amended and so forth until it was really tough to work within that time frame. My own conclusion is that you may have fared well in conducting the other elections, except the presidential one, that the gubernatorial, the, senatorial, and the other MP elections, you performed quite well. But on the presidential one, looking at the litany of complaints about the forms that were missing, data, Form 36 and whatnot, and all that happened, there's quite a mess there. And IBC has not done a good job in coming, even as you do your audit, to come up and say, indeed on this front, on these issues, we did badly and we acknowledge, but we are repairing and we're moving forward. So that you always appear to be on the defensive, you're always on defense. So the best thing that people do is these guys are colluding, they're complicit in the electoral fraud or malpractice, and they should be disbanded. Why don't you give us a comprehensive report of your own assessment? And finally, haven't you found any discrepancies since the elections 3 months ago in March that you can own up to and say, indeed, at that time we didn't know, but now we have known. We didn't know that NSIS was manipulating our things, and now we know. But now we ask the public to fix this problem.
First, after this election, the Commission has launched a post-election evaluation. And the post-election evaluation is going to be so rigorous. And in order to achieve that rigor, we have done two things. Number one, we have asked an external agency to get involved in auditing certain aspects of our activities. Like UNDP is now auditing all the areas that it funded. That is number one. We have asked the same UNDP to get for us an external individual who will also audit two aspects of operations, the ICT aspect and the voter registration aspect. So IEBC itself will be doing an evaluation of the processes and systems that we did, but in order for us to be sure that the results are inclusive and acceptable across a wide spectrum, we are involving external agencies whom we can control also to help us look into those other areas.
When is the report coming
this
out?
Process is out, we're thinking about it was delayed for one reason or the other, maybe the next 3 months. If it is concluded, we'll share this with the public and say on ICT, when it is concluded,
yeah,
we'll share this with the public and we'll say on ICT, these are the areas which were their faults, on this one is this, and we make it public. We will make it public.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
and we will make it public. That is the reason why
and this is your final thought.
We are calling somebody from outside. Otherwise, if we wanted to keep things under wraps, we'd be telling you we've done an evaluation and we have found this and we have found that and we have found that.
Okay. We're winding up. Just given the current political climate in the country, which is quite divided, as you are aware, what would you, as the IEBC, say to Kenyans in order to move forward, given the component of election results? And
well, number one, elections are periodic events. But elections are critical because elections interpret the will of the people. So Kenyans must learn, number one, that elections come and go. Number two, elections must be done in a particular manner. There is an agency charged with running the elections. We must be interrogated. We must be held to account. People must, even ruthlessly, examine our processes. But let us be rational about it. Let us not be emotional about it. Don't see IBC as complicit in partisanship until there is evidence for it.
okay.
There are failures where you can fail. There are underperformances. Say, IBC, you didn't do this well because of incompetence. Oswago get fired because of that. But I think give us a chance, and also let us be rational in the manner in which we evaluate the performance of the IEBC.
Excellent. Thank you very much for your time. So that's all from us here at Cheche this week. Many thanks to James Oswago, the Chief Executive Officer of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, as well as the panel of David McCarley and Mutegi Njau. My name is Udraka Mimo. Thank you for watching, for sending us your opinions, your text messages, and for engaging with us. Do enjoy the rest of your week.